Good morning. I just woke up. I'm a little crusty, but I'm enjoying the beautiful outdoors. I'm outside my home. This is my backyard. The wonderful sun that is in my eyeballs. It's been quite a while since I've been on here. I think the last time I made a video was back in July, so 9 months, maybe more. Yeah, it's been quite a while since I've been on here, for good reason. I needed some time to root into this new version of me that exists now. Constantly doing dissolving of the self, but that last one last year was a big one. A very intentional shedding of some deep core parts of myself, some structures within myself and without myself that needed some, not just restructuring, but straight up dissolving. But I am here now, and I've landed in this very beautiful, beautiful space. And I am still dissolving, but I am also rooting into something new, but also familiar. So, we're here. I'm here. And I've been, I don't know if ruminating's the right word, but I've been thinking about the idea, the concept behind being perceived a lot lately. I always am. I think that's like literally my first thought. My first like conscious thought was like, fuck, I'm being perceived. And other people have their own thoughts about me. So I think it's funny that at 27, I'm still having the same thoughts as my little 5-year-old self. But I've been thinking about it again, and I was looking back at my previous writing on my Substack, and my very first post was about that. It was about the, I wouldn't say pain. I think pain is part of it, but the intensity of being perceived and the intensity of being aware that we exist in multiple realities all the time, everywhere, all at once, because we have our own identities that we've built, our own perceptions of ourselves, and then every single person outside of us also has that for us. And sometimes we get to know what that is, and most of the time we don't. And then we'll even have our perceived ideas of what they're perceiving about us. It is some Inception type shit. And yeah, I'm thinking about it again. And I will be again and again and again, because that's just what I do. But I think I'm starting to enjoy it, and enjoy the complexity and also simplicity of it. Enjoy being a mystery. Enjoy being seen right through. And I thought it would be cool to read my post that I wrote back in April. So it'll almost be a year since I wrote this, and also a year since I started doing these videos, even though I took a break. But it feels even more valid now reading this than when I wrote it. And I remember at the time writing it and feeling it just like pour through me, and not really understanding what I was even writing. So it feels almost like a love letter to this current version of myself, and the many versions that are to come. So I thought I'd read it to all of you as my welcome back to this digital reality. This was called The Unobserved Atomic Self. Oh, how exciting it is that this is my very first post, and no one knows me here. No one follows me here. Once this piece of myself is released into the abyss of creation, and wandering eyes land upon me, I will no longer be limitless. Like an unobserved atom, I am anything, everything, and nothing at all right now in this very moment. As you set your gaze upon me, All the narratives, beliefs, and preconditions that make up your architecture will bend me from concept into form. It will force me to choose a shape that you can understand. Well, at least that's what I used to think. I realize now that to be seen through your gaze is to be an observer to the multitude of parallel realities that I exist in. I once before believed that I had to force my shape into these structures to make you comfortable, and therefore make myself safe. And it did make me feel safe, or in another word, trapped. Safety is the protection we build against the edge of our limitlessness, and that is okay. To jump into the unknown before you hear its call can be dangerous to the unexplored self. So we are protected in this cocoon for as long as we need, until our evolution stretches against the walls and demands release. To be released from my safety nest has required a complete shedding of all the protective layers of my old armor. I've had to learn how to walk beside the ghosts of my previous selves, the ones that still reflect back in the eyes of my peers. To be able to maintain my limitlessness regardless of the shape of my old architecture that others still desperately cling to. There is no safety in this chosen form of existence. To exist in your limitless form is to remind others of the edge they sit on. This friction is contagious. It lights fires beneath the cocoons that they lay asleep in. Some, like moths to a flame, will crawl out curiously, something deep within them stirred by the siren call of the creation void. Others will do everything they can to keep this fire at bay, to remain in the perceived safety of their fragile homes. I spent years intentionally dismantling my meticulously layered mask, not because I wanted to, but because something deep within me demanded it. I was granted the safety of solitude, the blessings of loneliness, so that I could discover the core of who I am. To be human is to concentrate the vastness of all that we are into a vessel, a form. In my gift of time, I've created a new shape-shifting structure, built of individually stable cells. Within this amorphous body, I am able to explore all that I am, no longer tethered to linear threads. No matter the shape I am observed in, my limitlessness remains untouched. And as I continue to shift, each moment becomes new, and each death of my old self brings me back to source, to creation itself, an atom unobserved. I tried to make this video yesterday, and I succeeded, but like most of my videos, I like to sleep on them, because usually stuff comes up for me in the act of knowing I'm putting myself out there and whatever that looks like. And then I had a dream last night that that I was exposed online, but it was like a very it was more like naked, like when you're in a room and you're in a dream in your room and you're like on stage and you're naked. And then my face started melting off, and I woke up. And I was like, well, first I was like, that's fucked. But then I was like, I'm still dissolving. My mask is still dissolving. Even when I think I'm there, it's still shedding. And I know that, but it's one thing to know it, it's one thing to feel it. And so I woke up and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. And I'm gonna do it again because I feel like part of me was still hiding in that, which if you listen to it, you wouldn't think I was, but I was. So yeah, I'm here. And thanks to a friend who gently pushed me to do this again. It was necessary for me to have the solitude, the illusion of not being perceived, while I rooted into this new, very vulnerable version of me. Not so vulnerable anymore, but I was a fresh butterfly coming out of a cocoon and my wings were wet, so I needed to let them dry a little bit. I'm happy to be back. Last year was a huge shed for me, a huge shed. I said goodbye to almost everything from my previous life. Friends, partners, animals, all of it. And all I was left with was me, more of me. And luckily, I like her. But yeah, there's a time for rest that's needed after all of that, and a gentleness that is needed on oneself when you are going through some massive shedding, some massive deaths of yourself, um, and putting these videos online mean that I am memorializing those parts of me, and those parts of me will exist here for however long they do, could be forever, and I have to be able to sit with seeing the versions of me that don't exist anymore, and also being okay with people potentially holding me to those versions of myself and not allowing me in their reality to grow beyond that. So, yeah, it's a lot to sit with. But it's also fun. And all of this just brings me closer to the magic that is being human. We are so multifaceted, we are multidimensional. And if we can be okay with that, be okay with existing in multiple realities all at once, everywhere, all the time, it just unlocks more of our infinite greatness, beauty, potential, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, good morning, and I'm back. And I have some really exciting things unfolding, and like beautiful things I want to share, and not all of it has to be serious. Some of it's fun, goofy. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day and find some curiosity in your fear, in the unknown, and some love for the versions of you that don't exist anymore. Bye.